Today we'll be reacting to horror scenes that actually scared me. Since this is Halloween, you all are seeing this. We're going to end Halloween, spooky October 2024, with this video right here. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I am a massive horror fan. I eat, sleep and breathe horror media. The horrors of my own mind consume me daily. The first horror movie I ever watched was Ghost Ship when I was 5 years old. Thanks, Dad.
I haven't seen the movie. However, I did see the opening scene, where you have lights in the line, and it just launched and it just cut almost everyone in half except for this one little girl because she's too short. But since everyone died, no one was there to save her, and she ended up starving to death.
Ship when I was 5 years old. Thanks, Dad. And I've been hooked ever since.
It's like a drug to me.
Over time, I've become extremely desensitized and often even bored by many mainstream horror movies I watch now, because unfortunately, once you've seen a few, you've seen most of them. They tend to get predictable.
You're pathetically predictable.
I'm looking at you, Conjuring franchise. I mean, I've seen characters...
You're pathetically predictable.
I'm looking at you...
I like Conjuring, but it did stop becoming scary to a certain point. Like, this movie got me jump scaring. This one had me jump scared a bit. This one had me a little bit. But after that, it's like...
You, Conjuring franchise. I mean, I've seen characters get possessed, sliced in half, haunted, stalked, cursed, eaten, resurrected, turned into a walrus, the whole lot. And nothing really hits anymore. But every now and then there will be something, a diamond among coal, if you will, that truly shivers my timbers. Something that gets my knees a knocking, and I have to turn on the light or it ends up playing on my mind on repeat for weeks to come. So today I'm going to share with you a few of those scenes that genuinely scared me. And obviously, major spoilers for all these movies, you have been warned.
Generally don't care.
Skinamarink.
It might get me to watch
Skinamarink is a very divisive movie that came out in 2022, and the plot is still up for debate, I suppose. Everyone has a different take on what is truly going on in here on this day, but the basic synopsis is two young siblings, Kevin and Kaylee, wake up one night to find their parents missing and all the windows and doors in the house are gone. What follows, I couldn't even really tell you, to be honest, but it's 100 minutes of grainy, low-lit footage of walls, ceilings, carpets, toys, and barely audible whispering. And somehow, it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever watched. And that genuinely makes me mad. Like, I was so angry after watching it that I was so unnerved because not much happened at all. The jump scares were kind of cheap because the movie was so quiet, and then they play the loudest microphone peaking shriek that you've ever heard in your entire life.
Oh yeah, that'll get you.
So I don't even count those parts. But the scene that terrified me takes place in the parents' bedroom. The little girl, Kaylee, goes in and her dad is sitting on the edge of the bed, but you can't see his face. You never really see anyone's face in this movie. He whispers, "Look under the bed." Already, absolutely fucking not.
No.
She looks under the bed.
No, look under the bed? No, that monster could look at this hoe. Fuck harder.
Painstakingly slow, and we finally see that there's nothing there. The father says nothing, she looks again, still nothing, no monster, no face, and when she finally looks up again, now her mother is sitting on the bed, turned away from her. No one moves, nothing made noise, and then her mother, still not turning around, tells her to close her eyes. She does, and when she opens them again, her mother is gone. And then it's followed by this awful bright light and this stupid loud-ass shrill noise that of course made me shit in a movie where nothing happens for like 90 minutes. And I know some people are probably thinking, that's it? That's what scared you so bad you needed to make a video on it? And I raise you, fuck you. Here's the thing, we're in the point of view of a child the whole movie, and they use that to mess with you. This scene, well, the whole movie really, weaponizes
like,
childhood fear. Being in
It's
the
like, jump scare.
dark,
Jump
not being
scare.
able to see your parents' faces. That horrible moment when you work up the courage to look under the bed and you're not even sure what you're afraid of, you just know something might be there. It's like the filmmakers reached into a dusty corner of your brain from the deepest parts of your psyche and dug up all these horrible old feelings and displayed them on the big screen. I don't know, the entire vibe of the scene makes me feel physically sick, and the whole movie is like a haunted liminal space nightmare. Your parents, your protectors, are nowhere to be seen. The doors and the windows are gone. There's no way to escape, no way of telling what time it is, and objects are suddenly on the ceiling or just straight up disappearing, like their toilet. And then Kaylee's face, literally just missing at one point, just smooth, skin-covered void. That image hurts me more than any ghost ever could. It all just feels like a descent into madness or hell, or in some people's interpretations, Kevin's declining mental state. There's this theory that after he falls down the stairs at the beginning of the movie, he's actually in a coma, and everything we see is him trapped in his own mind, slowly forgetting what his home looks like, his family's faces, maybe even his own name. And while he's in this nightmare headspace, some all-powerful entity in the dark is just toying with him, watching him unravel, and the worst part, he's like 5. That must suck. So yeah, enough about this movie, moving on. Lake Mungo. Next is a movie that gave me a jump scare and an existential crisis, Lake Mungo. This one's a mockumentary style film from 2008 about the Palmer family, whose teenage daughter Alice drowns during a family trip. But after her death, weird things start happening. Strange figures in photos, spooky noises, mysterious bruises, and her family becomes convinced that Alice is haunting them. Now, I'm pretty convinced they were inspired by Twin Peaks here, like Palmer family, mysterious, troubled teenage girl with a tragic secret life, surrounded by layers of sadness and the unbearable weight of not being able to save her. It's very Laura Palmer. The scariest scene by far is when the family digs up Alice's mobile phone from under a tree where she buried it during a school trip to Lake Mungo, and on it there's this grainy video. We watch as Alice walks along the shoreline in the dark, and off in the distance, barely visible, is someone standing there. And as the camera gets closer, we realise that it's Alice, but not a live Alice. This version has a bloated, corpse-like face, just like when her body was found. The footage freezes on it while her dad's voice plays in the background, and then BAM! It lurches forward with this horrible...
I ain't fun. Hey, I'm watching that. If a recording, if the person making a video got me off that jump scare, I know that jump scare. Lord. Okay. Sheesh.
Shriek and jump scare that made my entire soul evacuate my body. But it's not just the scare. What really got me was the sinking feeling in my chest, the realization that Alice was doomed, that she somehow knew she was going to die, that she had these visions of drowning, of being dead, of her mother not being able to help her, months before it even happened. And worst of all, she couldn't stop it. She literally came face to face with her own future corpse. Like, what do you even do with that? The movie plays with the idea that time is non-linear, that some events ripple forward or backward, or even occur simultaneously with what you perceive as the present, and Alice's fate was sealed no matter what. She knew something awful had happened, or was going to happen, and it was just inching closer and closer.
You're not getting me again!
There's something so deeply upsetting about that. So yeah, the jump scare made me scream, but it was that dread, that awful inevitability that made me sit there after the credits rolled with a weird pit in my stomach. American Horror Story Murder House. Next is from American Horror Story Murder House. If you were a weird teenager on Tumblr in the early to mid 2010s, this show definitely had a chokehold on you. It's disturbing, it's full of drama, murder, ghosts, and Evan Peters being disturbingly attractive for someone who's literally playing a school shooter. Anyway, one of the most terrifying, emotionally damaging scenes for me comes when Violet finds out that she's actually been dead for like a few weeks. She had taken a bunch of pills in an attempt to end her life a few episodes ago, and we think she survived and her boyfriend Tate saved her, but the attempt actually worked and she passed away. She keeps trying to leave the house, but every time she runs out the front door, she just ends up back inside, through another door. Like she's stuck in a horrible, ghostly loop. Tate eventually shows her where he hid her body, under the house, and she just breaks down. And honestly, so did I. That's the kind of existential horror that hits differently when you're like 11 and not mentally stable. And Violet, she's just a teenager. She didn't even get to live her life, and now she's stuck in this purgatory house, rotting under the floor while the boy she likes turns out to be an absolute wrong'un and a raging maniac. And yeah, I know there are way more disturbing scenes in American Horror Story, especially as the seasons go on.
What?
But this one just really shook me to my core, and perhaps it was because I was so young when I saw it, but there's just something about that image of Violet's decaying body under the house, all stiff with rigor mortis, mouth hanging open, flies buzzing around it, and then Violet, the ghost version of her, standing over it and crying. It really disturbed me, like, deeply. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this is kind of similar to Lake Mungo, so maybe I have some mysterious, unresolved issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the concept of seeing your own corpse that frightens me most. Like, you're face to face with your own mortality. That's not supposed to happen. I don't know if the brain is built to process that. So, yeah, it's tragic, it's gross, it's terrifying, and it's stayed with me for years. Honourable mentions. Okay, so before I talk about the last one that scared me, these next two are the short honourable mentions. They didn't leave me with a lingering sense of dread or questioning reality or turning on every light in my house like some of the others did.
I'm having a fucking panic attack right now. I need to calm the fuck down.
But they definitely did briefly freak me out in the moment, and I suppose that's worth something. Possum. Possum is already a deeply uncomfortable film. It's grey, it's miserable, it's got a puppet with long spider legs and a horrifyingly pale human face. But weirdly, the puppet isn't even what got me. What actually scared me was this one specific scene near the end. Philip finds a jar of teeth, presumably collected from his Uncle Morris's victims. He's holding it up in horror, and then out of nowhere, Uncle Morris lunges at him from a dark corner of the room wearing a black balaclava. It's rare that a jump scare gets me anymore. Most of the time you can see when it's coming, either from the framing of the shot or the music going quiet or something the character says, but this one was just so loud and so sudden and so mean, and I was already on edge from the gross puppet and the miserable atmosphere. But what makes it even more disturbing in retrospect is what Maurice says after the scare. It's heavily implied, like not subtly at all, that the puppet is a physical representation of the abuse Philip endured at Morris's hands as a child. Once that clicked, the whole movie retroactively felt 10 times worse. All the weird dreams, the puppet, Philip's blank stare, the tense atmosphere, it all folds into this deeply upsetting subtext. It's not a movie that really frightened me, even though I do like this movie quite a bit, but that one jump scare just really stopped my heart for a second. Antrim. And the other honourable mention is Antrim, which also came out in 2018. Antrim is framed as a cursed, lost film from the 1970s, supposedly responsible for multiple viewer deaths, and follows two siblings who enter a forest believed to be the entrance to hell in an attempt to save their dog's soul. It's one of those movies with a way better concept than execution. The whole vibe is very The Ring, like, if you watch this, you will die.
You and your family will be cursed for always and eternity.
And I wanted to love it, but in reality, it's kind of boring. Sorry. The pacing dragged, the cursed film gimmick wore off quickly, and I just kept waiting for something big to happen, and it never really did.
Boring, yawning, sloppy, lazy.
That being said, there is one scene that managed to seriously spook me. It's when this creepy, demonic-looking creature stares directly at the audience for like 20 whole seconds, doesn't move, doesn't speak, just watches, and it's very uncomfortable. It's not even a jump scare, it's just this unbearable stillness, like you're being studied, like something is trying to crawl into your brain through your eyes. I remember literally shifting in my seat and wanting to look away, and for a movie I was otherwise pretty checked out of, that's saying something. It's the kind of imagery that taps into some deep primal part of your brain that's like, ooga booga, this isn't safe, turn it off now. So yeah, Antrim didn't make the main list because it didn't stick with me in the same way as the others, but that one scene, it got under my skin just enough to make me feel like I needed to clear my browser history afterwards or look behind me or something. The Night House. Okay, let's finish off strong with a movie that didn't scare me in the scream and hide kind of way, but in the I stare at the ceiling for an hour afterward and my stomach hurts and I'm having an existential crisis kind of way. The Night House from 2020. This is actually one of my favourite movies of all time and is even in my Letterboxd top 4. Please don't judge me, it just really resonates with me. This one follows Beth, a recently widowed woman who's trying to process her husband's unexpected suicide. She's grieving, she's alone in this big spooky lakeside house that he built, and then weird things start happening. Shadows move, music plays by itself, there are footprints on the dock, you know, the usual. But what really makes this movie hit different is when Beth finds out that the presence haunting her might not be her husband at all, but something darker, something that's always been around her. It turns out that after she briefly died as a teenager in a car accident, something followed her back. When her husband Owen had asked her what she saw when she died, she said nothing, which she did not usually tell people as she didn't want to disappoint them. Owen did not believe her and instead chose to think of something beautiful and peaceful in the afterlife. But then after he passed, she was left with his note that read, "You were right, there is nothing, nothing is after you, you're safe now." At first, Beth is terrified. I mean, fair enough, there's clearly something in the house. But then she starts to feel hopeful. Maybe it really is her husband. Maybe there is some kind of afterlife and he's trying to reach her. And for someone who never believed in any of that, the idea that she might still be connected to him after everything brings her this brief flicker of comfort. And the way they use the word nothing in this movie is so smart and so sinister. Like, she tells Owen she saw nothing when she died, but then that nothing becomes something. It becomes personified. This thing, this absence, is death itself, or grief, or depression, or just the total void, and it's been following her ever since. So when Owen writes, "You were right, there is nothing, nothing is after you," it's not just wordplay, it's literal. Nothing is after her. Like, capital N nothing is coming for her. And one of the most haunting scenes in the whole film is when Beth's in the bathroom and she feels someone touching her skin, like really intimate and tender. We see the impressions on her skin as this invisible force touches her, and she leans into it. She wraps her arms around what she thinks is her husband. She hugs it, she finds comfort in it, and then she whispers his name. And it says, "No, I'm not Owen." And it is horrifying, because if that wasn't her husband, then who the fuck was it? She was being comforted by something else, something that wants her to let go, to give in. We learn in a conversation with her friends that she has been struggling with depression and dark thoughts for a long time, and the movie suggests that this nothing has been trying to pull her back in ever since she escaped it. At first it whispered to her, tempted her, but it didn't work, so instead it latched onto Owen. And what's even more devastating is how Owen tries to protect her. He doesn't kill her. He builds a mirrored house, a backwards version of their house, deep in the woods, and in that house he finds, lures and kills women who look like Beth, not because he wants to, but because he's trying to trick the nothing, trying to satisfy it. But eventually the weight of it becomes too much, the guilt, the horror of what he's done, it breaks him, and he ends his life, not to escape, but to save her. And then we get to the final scene, Beth alone on the same boat Owen was in when he died, holding the same gun. The nothing speaks to her, in Owen's voice, saying, "He thought he could protect you. He was wrong. You were right. There is nothing. There is only me. Come back to me. It doesn't matter. Let go. Come back to me." This crushing whisper of despair that's been chasing her for years tries to convince her that peace is in giving up. And that's why this movie wrecked me and gave me this swirling feeling of fear and sadness, because it hits very close to home for me. It's grief made into a literal presence. It's depression as a shape in the dark. It's what it feels like to be haunted, not by ghosts, but by your own mind. And that's it. I was going to add in Hereditary because watching that Home Alone in the dark when it first came out genuinely made me fear for my fucking life, but everyone and their mother talks about that movie and I figured people had already heard everything there is to hear about it. So yeah, if you guys have any movies or specific scenes that terrified you, please do share in the comments. I would...
I already got a few notes. We have this one, and then that one that you just said. Not that one. No. Me? Yeah, no. That demon staring at me. Fuck no. Maybe. One of these days. Eventually. But no. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Got nothing